Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We're going to get started in a couple minutes. We're going to give a couple minutes to allow people to join, and then we will start promptly. If they're in the chat, feel free to say hello, where you're from. We're really excited about the information we're going to share today. Okay, guys, Happy New Year. We are going to get started. I'm really excited about today's webinar. This is going to be our first installment of a series that will pretty much be doing all year on AI. AI has been the biggest question that we've gotten from all of our existing clients, friends of mine, just all over. So we've taken a lot of time to research what AI actually means to AEC professionals. Um, we're just excited to share how you guys can take AI and really hypercharge your productivity going into this calendar year. So my promise to you is that by the end of today's session, you're going to leave with a really simple system and a couple workflows that you can apply immediately after this is done. So definitely stay to the end. This is going to be recorded, and if you guys have any questions, we are going to have time for Q&A at the end. So there should be a Q&A panel that will allow you to put some questions in there, and we have two of my team members will be working back and forth, doing all the behind the scenes magic. So with that, let's get started. Yeah. All right, so let me tell you about myself first. I'm Uchenna Okara. I'm the founder and CEO of Revit Gods. I'm an architect by training. And my superpower has always been making complex technology very digestible and very usable for teams. This is how Revit Gods got created. So, more than just being a general tech nerd, I've always been really good at translating tools into workflows that people can adopt. So I've been doing this work for about 8 years. And now today we're doing this again with AI. We do it with Revit every day, but I'm so excited to dive into AI and share with you guys just some really simple workflows for how you can hypercharge your productivity. So as I mentioned, over the past 8 years, my team and I at Revit Gods, we've worked with over 75 different firms across North America. And we help many of them create and manage BIM standards. In our experience, we've seen a lot of what works, what does not work across the industry. Usually when we're developing BIM standards or working with a firm, we get to learn a lot about how they operate. And we've generated a lot of insights in the last 8 years of, what's actually working at firms today. So those are some of the insights that we want to share with you today. We've also recently, last summer, we partnered with Autodesk to implement their solutions. And this is going to lead to some much deeper conversations that we're going to have throughout the year that we're really excited to share. So I have one really important disclaimer before we get into this. Um, Two things I need to talk about. first, if this webinar, it's typically it's designed really for like building designers. Now, if you're not a building designer, listen to this, it's okay. The information that we're going to go through, it applies to everybody in the AEC ecosystem. The second thing that you must know is that we're not going to talk about like sort of AI safety rules and all that stuff. We'll either save that for another webinar or just address it in a different manner. But today is just purely about what AI is, about some workflows that you can leave with today. Okay. Um, Now, just really quick to talk about our course, the core services. We support firms across four key areas. So the first one is strategy. We offer a ton of strategy. We play with a lot of tools, test a lot of tools, we work with a lot of firms, so we have sort of like a broader insight to how things work. Um, we offer BIM management. We do a lot of BIM coordination. So we work with a ton of construction teams, helping them identify issues before construction. Um, and it's also, I also want to note that, our work is more workflow and standards consulting. Some workflows that we're going to show, they're going to use AI, but, I want to let you know, like, we're not like official AI consultants, although we use AI a lot. We are BIM consultants. So we're going to really talk about AI in the context of how this wraps around what we do in the AEC industry. All right, so let's so here's a roadmap for today. All right. So we're gonna start with your current reality, the current reality that we see most leaders kind of face today. Um, We're going to look at how data has changed, explore how other industries have kind of like solved similar problems. Um, and then we'll also look at AI, how you to use AI effectively in practice. Then we'll go to some live workflows, and then we'll finally finish off with how to create a roadmap for developing some firm-wide productivity. All right. So before we do that, I just need to do a quick pulse check, and there's no judgment here. So we're gonna launch a first poll because I want to know who here is already using AI. So give it about a minute for people to respond. Okay, I think we got mostly everyone. Give it another minute.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. All right, awesome. All right, so we can share results. Okay, so it looks like there's a couple of you who aren't using it yet. So this is going to be your perfect onboarding. And it looks like a couple, it's sort of like half and half. Half of us in this presentation, or half the attendees here, use it every day, know it's the future. Other half is like, hey, I'm just starting, and that's perfect. Okay, so let's launch it to the next poll because outside of just using it, I'm curious to know how do you feel about AI? So this is I'm really curious about just your overall feelings about AI. Okay, they're coming in. This is really, really interesting. All right. So I think we're almost there. All right. All right, so this is really interesting because look, one of the things that you guys have to understand that we're currently in an AI boom. We don't know if there's going to be a bust, but there is a lot of tools out there, information out there. It's There's some people on one side of the fence who are absolutely right. It is definitely critical to our future. It is going to change how we breathe in the next within this next decade. But it's a lot to navigate, and it's hard to know how to pinpoint how this applies to my life. So by the end of this, we're gonna address that. So thanks for the poll. All right. Okay, so let's talk about your current reality, right? So if you're a firm leader right now, here's, what I want to do is, before we dive into AI workflows, I want to frame why AI is exactly what I think our industry needs right now. Okay, and so if you look at this boulder, this is the daily load that firms are pushing up a hill on a daily basis. So there's staffing and utilization, project delivery risk, client expectations, design quality, design decisions, technical standards. Um, Drop in the chat, what's missing here for you? Like, is there anything that's like not in this boulder that really applies to you? Now, I want you to know that if this feels heavy, like if the weight that you feel from all these things in this bowl, if it feels really heavy, you're not behind and you're not alone. You have to understand that the environment has totally changed. So, this is important because it's funny because AI is sort of like right on time, because so much has changed in our industry. And I want you to understand that if you feel overwhelmed, it is not your fault. Okay. And it's not that you're not working hard enough. It's just the fact that technology has completely outpaced human capacity. So if you look at just sort of the trend of how what we've gone through in the last 40, 50 years, right? So pre-90s, before digital, remember, everything was paper drawings. We were mostly dealing with physical files. There were fewer code compliance. And knowledge kind of lived with individuals. So, there was like true value in like institutional capital. Then once we got to the 90s and early 2000s, the weight started to become a little bit heavier to push around, especially in the 90s. Everyone transitioned to CAD. So, and then also email. Everyone got an email address in the 90s. And also ADA laws were created, and I think it was in the 90s. So all these like interesting things happened in the 90s to early 2000s that all of a sudden there were new regulation, but the rate at which we had to respond to it was so much faster. Okay. Now, right now we're currently at a breaking point. And this breaking point happened about 10 years ago, but we're really feeling it today because most firms now they're using BIM. We have cloud collaboration, there's more regulation, there's energy codes, um, there's more cross-disciplinary back and forth that's happening. There's just way more data points to respond to. And this is why even strong firms feel really overwhelmed because there's just too many decisions, too many inputs, too many tools, and not enough time to like synthesize and go through it all. And this is why it's outpacing human capacity. So hopefully this makes sense. All right. The so fundamentally, we're currently dealing with a data management and decision support problem. And we're right now we're as an industry we're producing more information than we can reliably capture, standardize, find, reuse, or make decisions from. So this is why right now in our industry where statistically the U.S. construction industry is the least productive industry in the planet, and it's the reason why we have so much rework, misalignment, just everything's slow. But it's not your fault. There's just a lot of data and information there. So, now I want to frame this because we're not the only industry to have gone through this. Okay, so we're not alone here. There's other examples that we can pull from other industries who have actually figured this out. So I'll take one industry that I love because my wife is actually a journalist, so uh I know more about journalism than most just through her though. But but this used to be journalism. And this is actually a photo from a project that we worked on a couple years ago. This is what the inside of the Inquirer building used to look like. So anyone in this convo who is in Philadelphia should know the Inquirer building. But yeah, but this is what journalism was. It was local stories. It was uh, things got published daily. There was a lot slower feedback, but things were kind of constrained to a local level. Now, if you compare that to today, journalism is real time and it's global and it's also multi-channel. So you get stuff from TikTok, Instagram, X, which I'm always going to, in my head, call it Twitter, YouTube, web, newsletters. There's, journalism in the same way. They've kind of gotten overloaded with information, in the exact same way. Here's the difference, though. What they did is they built systems. So long before AI, what journalism did is they created real-time analytics, and they created dashboards that tell them exactly um, who's looking at the news, what time they're looking at it, what channel it's coming in from. It allows them to aggregate content from across the globe and search by keyword what they need to talk about in real time, how people are responding to it. So they really solved journalism, like sort of this data problem, not by working harder but by building systems to help them manage information at scale. And this is the problem that we as an industry are seeking to solve. All right. So I hope that makes a ton of sense. Because what I want you to want to understand is, AI is not necessarily, it's not about replacing people. It's about helping people make decisions at scale. So the question is, how do we apply that to our industry, right? Because we're already understaffed. So it's not like we AI replacing people is not really the concern. It's just, how do we use it for us? So I want to get into my next poll because I want to kind of address sort of what we see as a um, common trend with so many of our clients that we work with and the opportunities of where we see AI being just this huge benefit. Um, so the last poll is, beyond your current job title, how many hats do you regularly wear? Okay, and everyone's coming in. I am so envious of the people who have one hat. All right, I think we're good. All right, we can share the results. So it looks like most people here are wearing multiple hats at their job, right? Now, before starting Revit Gods, um, most people here, um, was an AEC professional, but well, yeah, before starting Revit Gods, I used to work at a mid-sized architecture firm, and I want to say outside of my job. I wore at least four hats. I was a BIM manager. I did a little bit of business development. I was also designing the like process for how information flowed and and also managed the documents with for like the project. So I did a ton. Um, and you might be going through a similar mix here, right? Uh, so what we see is that, as the information and the inputs have increased, uh, architects and engineers, we've had to wear more jobs, and it's really like the people aren't changing. Like no one's hiring more people, like some industries would do. It just gets layered on top of what we're already doing. Right? Now, this is where I actually see a really big opportunity because I don't know if us being required to like wear this many hats will ever change, right? That's just it's sort of the nature of our industry. We're always spinning all these multiple plates. The biggest opportunity that I see in AI, and this is where we're gonna kind of make the pivot in today's presentation, um, is how you can use the AI tools to help you leverage all these different hats and roles. AI will either help you do much better at the one hat that you wear, or it will help you manage these additional hats that you're required to wear. Okay, so let's dive into it. All right. So I want to first um, define AI and take a look at how it can help us relieve this load that we're feeling. There are three types of AI that you hear all over the place. Um, so we're going to unpack it. So the first one is predictive AI. Okay. So predictive AI, that this has been around for since 2016. This exists in BIM already. So this is just using BIM data to forecast outcomes and be able to do things like energy modeling, daylight, wind studies. We've already had this. The second type of AI is generative AI. All right. So this is creating new outputs from inputs. That's what ChatGPT already is, right? That's what ChatGPT is. Um, we have some of those features also in Revit, and we'll talk about it in a future webinar. But um, generative AI is just an ability that has gotten very popular in the last couple of years of being able to feed information in and get new information back out. Now, if anyone's wondering why Tesla's stock is, well, I won't talk about Tesla, but if everyone's wondering why they were valued so high, it's because of this type of AI and it's agentic AI. And this is AI that performs tasks for you. This is a type of AI that everyone's excited about because it allows us to produce things autonomously and replace those hats that we talked about in our last slide. Okay, so these are the three general types of AI. Now, how do you leverage that for what you do on a general basis, and how do you leverage that in a office firm environment? All right, so let's get into it. All right, so we've come up with a simple framework that we've seen sort of works best. We use at Revit Guys, we use AI every single day. It's spread across everything that we do, and we're just getting better at it. So here's four essential things that you have to do. Whoops. So the first two is you have to capture everything that matters. So this might be conversations, decisions, context. You have to be able to capture information at your practice. And then once you capture that information, you have to be able to store it. AI, before you feed information into any chatbot, regardless of what it is, you have to have a pretty good system of capturing information. Right now, there's a lot of information produced out of meetings and all types of stuff, and we're going to talk about the strategy to do that. But you have to be able to capture information and then have a central place to start to store it. Then, once you've captured and stored it, it'll be easy to feed that information into some type of AI system. So basically, you'll use AI to synthesize that information to help you surface patterns. And then once AI has done its job to synthesize, I'm not going to try to say that three times as fast, then you'll be able to act on the information. So here's the different tools that exist out there, right, to help you do this. Now, some of these tools we use daily. Now, on the capture again, and I think this is like a pure, like to me, a non-negotiable. Um, you absolutely need something or a tool to help you capture meetings. And this is going to be in-person meetings, virtual meetings, just sort of like all conversation that happens. Um, we use a tool called Otter internally that allows us to capture all of our meeting notes. So if you ever get annoyed when you're in a Zoom meeting and there's sort of like an AI note taker, um, for us, it's been incredibly valuable because there's so much context that happens in a general conversation that as humans, we're just not going to catch everything. Um, so we use tools like Otter to help us capture information. Now, what's really cool about these tools is that um, as we implemented it across our entire team and organization, there's a lot of meetings that happen in my organization that I'm not in. Um, because everyone is capturing their meetings on Otter, it allows someone like me who's super busy to go back and look at the notes and pull up the transcript of exactly what happened. All right, one of the greatest AI tools to ever be created. I love it. I love Otter. The second one that also has been really transformative, and I'm going to show you a workflow for how we use it, is called Loom. And by the way, quick disclaimer. There's several alternatives for everything we're going to show you today. We're just talking about the ones that we happen to use internally. Loom is a way to quickly record a video, capture information, and share it with a friend or a colleague. We're going to go through a workflow on Loom, but Loom is great for just capturing just general sort of like I would say Otter is for unstructured information, Loom is for structured information that you want to share. Now, for a lot of us, once you capture the information, you have two options. Most information you capture can live in platform. So most tools will want you to keep the information within their platform and not want you to export it anywhere else, although they'll still give you the ability to export it everywhere else, or else there'll be a revolt for them not doing that. Um, you want to definitely talk to your IT provider about the safest place to store information and come up with a strategy for giving the right people access to certain information. But you definitely want to capture it and then find a place to store it. Then, when you once you start to analyze that information, there's right now in the playing field, there are a handful of chatbots, and they all are good at doing something completely different. So ChatGPT is one of the best chatbots at analyzing data. Um, it's just the best for data analysis, period. There's other ones out there like Claude, which is probably the most creative. The best chatbot at creative writing and just presenting things in your voice. It's just overall, it's a better writer. There's another one called Perplexity that's really good for research. Notebook LM is one that's offered by Google, and Notebook LM is great for parsing through documents that are thousands and thousands of pages and allows you to do, kind of run different workflows with it. Now, so this is our framework. We capture, we store, we analyze, and then we find a way to act on that information once we have it, right? Um, so this is our simple framework for how we do it. Now, I'm going to show you some workflows, but but I want to walk you through how to build a prompt. So once you have the information that you need, the next part is obviously you're going to put it into some type of platform like ChatGPT, Claude, or some tool, right? Now, here's how to get the AI to actually do exactly what you need it to do because almost all AI it just needs like guardrails, and this is true in I used to be the co-lead of the Dynamo user group, and in any coding language, anything that you write, you have to build in parameters and tell the computer exactly what you want it to do. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So first off, the first important thing that you need to do with any chatbot is tell it who do you want them to be. All right. So you need to identify. hey, I need you to be my HR director. I am hiring. I'm looking for, I just interviewed these three great candidates. Here's the otter transcripts from our conversation. Who do you think is the best candidate? Or, who do you think might serve in this way, right? So first, you're gonna put in who do you want AI to be for you? What's the role? Next, you're going to give it context. So then you'll explain the situation, right? Then you'll, and this is a really, really important step because a lot of times when we prompt, we don't actually give enough context or know what type of context AI needs. And this happens in human conversation. I'll talk to my wife about something and she'll ask me 20 questions before she gives me a response. You want to do the same thing with AI. So the next is I'll ask AI to interview me. So before giving me an official response, I want you to ask me questions to gain better context on what I need. And then finally, I'm going to describe exactly what um what I want AI to do for me. All right. So this is my framework. So when I identify the role, say, hey, this is the context of the situation. Um, Before you generate a response, interview me. Okay. And once you interview me, here's what I want you to do. All right. Now I'll tell you guys a quick story because last year, we got into a little bit of trouble, with a large software company, which will remain nameless, where they fined us tens of thousands of dollars for something that we did not do. All right. But because they're big and we're small, we don't have the resources. We didn't have the resources to fight it. But it's a huge fine. And as a small business, it was for me crushing because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy year. The market is going up and down. Like, how am I going to do this? Right. So, and I remember like it was yesterday, I just had the most heated conversation over the phone with the director at that company and, what they're explaining that we did. And I know but to them, it just, it didn't matter. It was more like for them, a cash grab. So, my first thought when we go through situations is, hey, let's engage my legal counsel, who is super expensive. And in this particular situation, I had a really short timeline that I needed to act and respond. So in that, it was sort of like a late night, and I was like, you know what? Let me try to use AI for this and see if it can help. Because, I just didn't, this was a really unique situation and problem that happened. And and I knew that my lawyer probably wasn't going to have a background in solving this particular issue. I was going to have to find a different legal consultant. So I said, hey, let's try AI. So I opened up ChatGPT and I said, hey, I want you to be my legal consultant. And I explained the exact situation that I was going through. I copy and pasted the entire email exchange that I had gone through, plus gave it additional context from all of our phone conversations. And then I asked it to interview me to gain additional context. The interview questions were like the questions that it came back and asked me, and this is important. If you ask ChatGPT or any tool to interview you, tell it to, say, ask me a max of 5 questions, or else it's going to ask you like 20 questions. But the questions it came back with was like already like, oh, huh, I didn't even think to think about the situation in that way. But what it came back with actually blew me away. Long story short, the situation that was, in my mind, like unfathomable, we were able to, it was able to walk me through this step by step, how to litigate it via email and then get the overall fine reduced to basically an eighth of what they were asking for. I did it without any actually having to bring on any legal counsel. It even walked me through how to negotiate, taking that like the even the smaller number and breaking that into installments so that we didn't feel any burden from it. We can basically make it go away. So it was almost like a settlement, and we were able to navigate it. It was amazing. But what I noticed, what I realized in that moment is that I personally I don't have decades of like one, I'm not a lawyer, and two, I didn't have the context of decades of information of other people going through the situation. And then that's the moment I realized that AI is a supercharged search engine. It's able to parse the internet for all these situations that have happened, things that people have posted, talked about maybe on Reddit and all these different channels, synthesize it, my favorite word, and then help me come up with a solution. It was the most amazing thing. At that point, that was the exact moment I realized, like, okay, I must share what I know because this truly helped me navigate the situation. So this is how step by step I build a prompt. Okay. Now there's other really great scenarios where I happen to use a ton of AI tools. So I'll walk you through one. So this is Loom. Loom is where, we record videos, we can do a quick workflow on how something works. I'm explaining in this video, what Revigaz is all about. But when I record it, and I'm going to go back a little bit, it generates a transcript of everything I'm saying in the video, which is really cool. I could take that transcript, copy and paste it into ChatGPT. Um, One quick note that you'll realize is that when I use ChatGPT, I almost never type into it. I, I'm a slow typer. Well, remember my wife has a background in journalist, so she types faster than she can talk. I can't do that, so I put in a prompt saying, "Hey, um, you are my HR director. I need help with my upcoming team meeting. I have a bunch of new hires and I need to talk to them about our culture." Which is important for me because even though I know who we are, our culture, if I'm dealing with 20 things in a day, I don't have time to like think of like exactly what to say. So a lot of times I'll record myself in Loom, generate a transcript, pop it into ChatGPT, and then have it generate sort of like a quick script or maybe like a standard operating procedure or a walkthrough or a guide on how I'm supposed to do something. And it takes me through step by step. It is phenomenal. Okay. So and then when I need changes, again, I rarely type. Rarely. I am almost always talking into it because talking for me, it helps give the tool all this additional context that you it doesn't get when I'm typing. Okay. So this is one last note that I'll make about this, right? So inside of Loom and inside of every AI meeting note taker platform, this is why the transcript is so important. Being able to take that live transcript, dump it into an AI platform that's able to synthesize. I'm gonna get that right. Synthesize that information and then spit this back out to me and allow me to make decisions from it is huge. And this is why it's important that you find a place to store all of that information. Okay. So that's my first whoops. Okay. Mistake there. All right. Think I'm back. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, now it looks like we got some good questions coming in, so I'm going to address that. Almost through, so I'm going to address it in the end. So, the next workflow that you guys can thank me later on this one. Oh no, what's going on? Sorry. Let's try that again. Then okay, there we go. All right, so the next workflow I want to talk about Notebook LM. So Notebook LM is a tool offered by Google. Um, and I don't know the specific history on how it got developed, but if you have a Google account, or yeah, if you have any Google account, it comes included with Google. So you have to find it in your email account. But what I use Notebook LM to do, I'm going to pause here. So what I use Notebook LM to do is I use it to help me track risk and parse out requirements from project documents. So a lot of times we get asked to bid on all types of projects. And as you guys are already familiar with, the bid documents, they're first of all, the specs are thousands of pages, and then they come out with addendum, all types of addendums to them. It's just a lot of information to parse through, and especially if you're a small team doing 20 other things. I mean, who has time, right? What I really like about Notebook LM is that I can take all of those documents and dump them into this platform. So I'm going to dump them in. It takes a bit to actually analyze it. And then I'm going to drop in a quick question and I'm going to ask it, hey, outline all the BIM requirements for this project. It's going to parse through all the documents at once. I will give it a minute. All right. And then it's going to give me in detail every section across each document. So this is a lot better than doing Control F. This is just a little bit more elaborate because now it's going to show me in a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna click on one of these guys. Let's click on that one. And yeah, it's gonna show me in document the exact section inside the platform where it's referencing the contractor's BIM requirements, what I need to respond to, um, and so on and so forth. And what's really good is I can one, I get to ask a lot of follow-up questions um, to Notebook LM so I can keep prompting it to help me identify and find other information across all the specs. But for other document types, Notebook LM is really cool because it allows you to take those documents and guides and create other information from it, like a podcast. I think one of them, you could do like an audio overview of what those documents are talking about. So if you just don't have time to read through it and you just like, hey, I don't know why you would want to, but for this type of work, but if you want to do an audio overview of that particular tool or document, you can, or create a quiz. It's just phenomenal. Like what you're able to do, put the information in, and what you can get back out of it. Okay, so so here's just two really cool workflows that we use this for. Now, I have just a couple like really important tips um for just using AI successfully. Now, my first one is please use the voice and dictation features. Now, my favorite place to use the dictation features is actually in my car. So, when I'm driving or going to meetings, a lot of times I'll use the voice feature and I'll have AI talk right back to me in my car because, sometimes I have like really, like I have these ideas or I just came from a meeting and I start talking through what I just experienced. And then as I go through that conversation and I get home, I'm able to pick up that conversation and then start to act with it. So, use the voice and dictation features. Always review the output. It's so funny because, you know, yes, AI produces a lot, but you have to think of it as it only being able to do 80% of the work. You still need to do that extra 20% where you're checking through everything. Um, you always need to give AI some type of like guardrails for how it should respond. And I think the real skill that we're gonna have to develop in our generation is to be able to give it detailed and like detailed sequence instruction. And then finally, if you come up with a really good prompt, save it. Okay. Because this is what you're going to use across the office and what we feel, there's going to be like sort of like these key prompts that people are going to start to share and use all the time and share with others. So I think this is going to be really great. All right. Now, before you guys go crazy, and hopefully you've gotten a lot of value from this presentation, I have one last tip. Before you scale new workflows, um, so before you scale workflows across your entire office, right? And you start to use this and experience all types of productivity boosts, and you're like, no, I want to scale this across the whole office. Um, I would pause and just take a minute to understand how information moves across your firm today. Okay, this is critically important because all technology isn't necessarily good or the right time. Okay. And you need to understand what people are doing today and how you're currently set up. Now, we do this a lot in for firms that we do BIM management for, but it's really important to create a clear picture of your practice. And the key questions that you need to answer is what do you want to achieve? This is how you cut through the noise, right? If there's a lot of noise and a lot of tools that are out there, and you're not sure which one to choose or what to use, you have to start with what do I want to accomplish, right? Like what are my goals? Once you understand what you want to accomplish, then you start to break down, that overarching goal into, where does work slow down or break today? Which tools or workflows are we currently using that support like that goal that we're seeking to reach? And then who needs to be involved in that process? All right. Now, something that we're doing for a limited number of firms is that we're helping them create a roadmap for 2026. We've built a ton of tools that help us do a deep assessment of what a company's goals are, what their current BIM standards are, their team's capabilities, and just sort of like their overall tool stack. And it helps us um, supercharge how we're able to help firms create a roadmap. And then our team, obviously, we support them throughout the entire implementation process. It's work that we really enjoy doing. Okay, so we're doing this for a limited number of firms, and we're going to do this webinar series. So we're next each month we're going to layer everything I've gone through. We're going to layer more information on top. So we'll talk about AI for business development, AI for document management. We'll go a little bit deeper, but there is so much out there that we're excited to share. That we're going to roll out throughout the year. But if you want that information now and implement it in your office, we should probably have a conversation. All right. So I am going to break and we'll take some questions. So let's go to the Q&A. Okay. And Matt, if you want to voice some of these, that'll be perfect. All right. So first question. All right. So if you guys want to drop those questions in the Q&A, we're gonna start answering. All right. So the first question is, how do you balance data security with engaging with AI tools? Clients have recently been adding language to their contracts that disallow AI use that stems from concern that these systems train large language models on user data and input. So really good question. Can't answer that question right now. It'll be part of a future webinar series because this is just something that we're not experts on yet, but we do have we have partners that are actually doing this work and researching this work almost all the time. And we're going to invite them in to actually talk about that specific topic because it is coming up. Um, and rightfully so. Clients are just tossing a lot of information at us, and we actually do legitimately need help. But we want to make sure that everyone's safe on both sides. Um, so yeah, but that will, realistically, it's gonna get answered at a probably in a future webinar. All right. So what concerns slash risks are there about sharing this information with AI that may be sensitive or personal, like HR or legal situations and examples that you shared? Yeah, so this is a really good question. And again, we're and I know this is like some of the most important things, like, hey, what's the risk of doing this? The only thing that we know today is that across companies, AI is being leveraged and used at scale. Um, Absolutely at scale. And the only thing that we know right now is that um, if you open any one of the chatbots, they do have like documentation on how the data is used and how it's not used to train the models. But um, my first recommendation is just to read through it, read through that information. Um, but it is something that we're going to dive into in a future webinar, and someone who is an expert is going to get invited in to really talk and dive into that topic. All right, so. We got another question. What AI tools are you finding for Revit and BIM? Oh my gosh. So I went to Autodesk University I think it was in September, so September of last year. So Autodesk specifically, they are putting a lot of their AI super juice and superpower into a tool called Forma. Forma is included into everyone's AEC collection subscription, and Forma is right now um, the AI in it is going to help you do facade studies, do a lot of the predictive AI features like kind of tracking temperature, weather. Is also situated right now to help you do layouts. Like we're working on a project where it's just helping us do parking like in 3 clicks, like literally 3 clicks, parking's done. So it's pretty cool in that vein. Autodesk is working on uh a tool inside of Revit, basically a chatbot. I don't know exactly. I'm not gonna tell you what they're calling it because Autodesk, as you guys might know, has a reputation for changing the names on all their products pretty frequently. But but they are working on a chatbot that is gonna be inside of Revit. I don't think it's gonna be available or ready probably until 2027, just based on what we heard at Autodesk University. Um, but right now, all the powers the AI powers is being put into Forma right now. All right. Um, Another question. Do most of the AIs that you discussed today have a free version to use? Yes, they do. So almost every AI tool right now does have a free tier. Okay. Otter, Loom, all of them have a free tier. They'll have limits obviously on how much you can use it, but everyone here can hop in today, test out a tool, kick the tires, see how it works, and make your decision on if this is going to work out for you. Um, Another question, who owns the content? Guys, these are really good questions. Who owns the content generated by AI tools and who is responsible for it? All right, so this one we're definitely going to table uh, another for another webinar. We're going to bring an expert in to talk about this, and this might be the next one that we do, because this is such a hot topic. So we're going to table that one. Again, we're not going to address it. We're going to table it for another webinar. All right, next question. All right, so note that if you use something like Copilot within your Microsoft 360 subscription, you get enterprise data protection. So usually enterprise accounts have better IP and privacy policies. Thank you, Dan Howard, for providing the answer. So Dan, for those of you guys don't know, he actually ran PDUG with me years ago. So he's one of my really, really good friends. So thank you for coming in there to provide that insight. Um, and then a last question in here that we have is what third-party AI tools are you most excited about? We've been exploring Hypar and Speckle as promising tools. Um, so there's a tool that I'm really excited about called Motif. Um, I'll type in the actual like how it's spelled Motif. I assume you're talking about like BIM tools, but there's a tool called Motif that is I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like an open collaborative workspace that allows you to bring your BIM model in and allow you to like document and sketch over top of the BIM model. It's really cool. The capability within it that I am most excited about, and this is a tool idea I've had for a long time, is Motif allows you to basically put sticky notes inside of your Revit model to leave messages for other people. And I think, when I was talking when I was talking about some of the talking with some of the creators of Motif, and they were like demoing the tool with me, like that by itself I was most excited about. Also Bluebeam is also working on I think like a PDF to not Revit, but PDF to like BIM capability. I'm excited about that. One, because we have a lot of like buildings out there that are not uh like fully documented in Revit or BIM. So being able to feed a tool PDFs and it generates a BIM model, I think is going to be pretty incredible. And I do know that that is something that Bluebeam is working on. Uh what are your thoughts on the climate concerns regarding AI use, data centers, power and water consumption? Quite a conundrum for an industry that wants to drive sustainability. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a really interesting topic because yeah, this is a really interesting topic because there's sort of this like huge promise for AI and what it's going to do for productivity and but it does come with a cost. It does come at a huge cost. And it's a tough question to answer because we don't 100% know what the implications are going to be for it. Um, I have actually, my thoughts are kind of layered, but and I can't share all of them yet. But one thing that I will share is this is actually a conversation that we've been going back and forth with Autodesk through our partnership because one of the things that we're focused on is being able to like as data centers get developed, we're looking at like capabilities to like track energy usage and the water consumption, and we be able to report those numbers so that we can make better decisions. Um, so it is something that we are actively looking at, but I don't know if I have a fully formed opinion yet because we're still trying to like wrap our minds around it. Um, and Jigger, thanks for your feedback. So Jigger is saying that, hey, this is a comment to comment to add to your information that any AI tools that are highly effective in idea uh, generation and navigating complicated situation by asking AI to provide a multi-lens perspective on an idea or situation. The perspective can be a combination of different experts and it helps to see blind spots and angles that you may be missing. Yeah. So I think, and if it's okay for me to kind of summarize this, Jigger, yeah, I think being able to add the multiple lenses that, a lot of times as professionals, again, we're just wearing all these different hats. So being able to use AI to bring all these different like new hats to the table to help us really make decisions, it's for us in our industry, it's just a game changer. Um, so yeah, so I think we are officially at the hour. Um, this has been great. Thank you. We're gonna keep doing this. Um, please feel free to get in touch with me. We're gonna send the slides out to everyone who attended today. But find me on LinkedIn, add me, and we're gonna keep blasting information out. Everything we learned this year, we're gonna keep sharing. So thank you guys. Have a happy Thursday, and until the next one.